Life is full of surprises, and not much can be guaranteed. Everyone grows up with their own beliefs and interests, both of which can be different from person to person. If there's one commonality all humans share, it is death, be it hearing about death on the news, dealing with death of a loved one, causing death, or experiencing it. Shinigami no Ballad attempts to take this one commonality and create a series of stories to help those cope with the loss of loved ones. The series focuses on Momo, a Shinigami or death god that is tasked not only with taking the souls of humans, but also carrying out the tasks of the dead. The series is 6 episodes long, and each episode is standalone. Now, I have no problem with episodic series, and this sort of concept could work as a Mushishi-esque title that proves to be both relaxing and thematically engaging. The problem lies in the fact that these episodes are played out in a fairly straightforward way. There's not much differentiating each story from another, and after watching a few, they all start to meld together. Each episode is always from the perspective of teenagers, there's always a romance in the stories, and there are multiple instances of episodes that feature the two sneaking onto school grounds in the middle of the night. It would have been nice to see a perspective from younger kids or from adults to switch the mood up, and also allow for different mindsets, as well as perhaps seeing how Momo would interact with a young kid or an adult in comparison to how she interacts with teenagers. What makes the execution so bland is not only because it lacks variety, but also by its lackluster characters. Momo, the main character, isn't really all that interesting, nor is her development stable. Each episode she starts out stern and cold, then turns sad in the end. It makes her character development feel like it is resetting after each episode, and not to mention, there really isn't much to her outside of those traits. This makes Momo, as a character, very one-dimensional and uninteresting. The characters in each episode develop, and sure, they get the job done, but at the same time, they lack a strong presence and personality. There's nothing that really makes them stand out as characters, and as a result, yes, they have conflicts and they learn from these conflicts, but all with underwhelming execution. This is made apparent in one episode, where a girl takes care of her brother and becomes the mother figure of sorts after their own mother has passed away. This is a fairly typical storyline, and its characters are played out pretty much exactly how one would expect them to. There's no twists, no turns, nothing to spice up either the story or the characters. The only character to really show much of a personality is Momo's cat, Daniel, who is less sympathetic towards humans in comparison to Momo. This could lead to some interesting conflicts, but unfortunately, due to the lack of episodes, it all felt like wasted potential. The visuals of the series are equally bland. There's nothing particularly wrong with them, but at the same time, it doesn't do much to stand out. The character designs are fairly generic, and most of its characters look the same. It doesn't help that this series only focuses from the perspective of teenagers, so there's always going to be the same kinds of characters showing up. The rest of the animation is standard 2006 fare. Nice backgrounds, and at the very least, the animation was consistent. The music itself is fairly fitting, but forgettable. The background music all does its job, but it is not something one will want to listen to on their own. The only track in the series that struck me as interesting was the opening theme, No One. It's slow-moving and solemn-sounding, but it is also lyrically fitting. It's from the perspective of Momo, one whose job is to kill. She knows she has to carry out her job, but she also understands the perspective of those she has killed, and feels sympathetic towards them. As a result, she carries out their own wishes. It is kind of upsetting that one can get more of an idea of Momo's own character through the show's opening theme, rather than the series itself. It says a lot about the series, and the lack of exploration when it comes to Momo's character. All in all, I cannot quite say that Shinigami no Ballad is worth recommending. Nothing about it strikes me as all that bad, but at the same time, there really wasn't much in the series that I really liked. There ultimately wasn't enough personality, variety, or intrigue in the stories to leave much of an impression on me. If it had more episodes to explore Momo's character, as well as see how she may be able to help adults or younger children cope with death, then perhaps I would be more interested. I think how much one will enjoy the show is dependent on how simple one minds the execution of the story. For me, it was too simple to be enjoyable.